Noëlla Coursaris was born in the Democratic Republic of Congo. As a young child, her father died, but her mother could no longer afford to keep her, so she was sent to live with relatives in Europe. She was forced to work long hours as a domestic worker whilst trying to study, but got a break when she won a competition to model for the high-end lingerie brand Agent Provocateur. She now works between London and New York and appears in the likes of Vogue and Vanity Fair. She spends as much time as possible back in Congo now, where she set up a school for girls and supports the surrounding village. Noëlla's appeared on stage many times as an advocate for African youth, alongside other speakers, including former US President Bill Clinton.
I was born in Congo. I was the only child of my mum and dad. I'm actually half Cypriot, half Congolese. And my father died when I was 5 years old, and my mother didn't have any resources to keep me. You know, at this time, it's the men that work and bring the money. And my mother got me very young. She was like 17 years old, so uneducated. So she decided to a better life for me. She gave me away. I lived with relatives in Europe.
She sent you to Europe because she couldn't afford to keep you?
She couldn't afford to keep me, so I left maybe with hole in my shoes. It was very tough because, you know, I think at 5 years old, rethinking, I don't think so you understand what does mean death. I was very upset with her, actually. But now that I have two children, I really have a lot of admiration for her, because I think for her to lose her husband and then to lose the only child she has and have absolutely nothing, it was very devastating for her. And for me, you know, I was having a nap with my dad, and I wake him up, and he never wake up. But at this age, you don't understand what means death. I think every day you say, "Where's your dad? Where's your dad?" Then at some point in time, you kind of notice your dad will never come back. So to lose my mom, to lose my dad, arriving somewhere in Belgium in the middle of nowhere, and to live with relatives of my dad, it was tough. And it was a very tough childhood. It was a very strict family, and I was like their maid. And
you were their maid. You had to do housework and.
I have to do a lot of housework, but I put all my energy in my study. I was an amazing student. I think I put all my energy. I never celebrate birthdays, and I wanted just to make proud my mom, and very study. That's the only thing I knew.
Did you stay in touch with your mother?
At this time, you know, it was no emails, no mobiles, so maybe I received 2 letters from her. I spoke 3 times on the phone.
3 times?
Maybe 3 times, yes. And I went to see her after 13 years. I was 18 when I went to see her.
What was that like?
Wow, I think, first of all, I arrived at the airport, they got the wrong date, arrived, there was nobody. So, my God, I have to trust a guy that was taking me in a taxi that was not really a taxi, to go in town and start to ask, I'm looking for this woman, I'm from this family. And I went to a hotel, and this hotel, thanks God, they knew someone of my family, and they called, and oh my God, it was like 11 midnight, I was panicking, I was 18 years old. It was like a tough moment, and when I saw the way she was living, it was even more harder.
And how did that change you, seeing her life?
It changed me that it changed me that I wanted to be successful in whatever I do to look after her, and one day build a house for her, and to put her in very good conditions, and the sacrifice that she did. And but it gave me a purpose to my life, because I always say, to see so many kids that were living in the street, so many children out of schools, I promised myself I want not only help my mom, I want to help my country, I want to help my continent, I want to give back.
So if there's a fear that drives you, how would you describe it? Going back there to that life, or?
I think she made the right decision. She made completely the right decision to send me away. But for many years, I was very upset with her. I understand why she gave me away. And if I'm in her position, I don't know if I can give away my kids. It's tough. And I think I see in her eyes a lot of sadness. But I was able to build a house for her, to make her move, and I look after her every month. And I bring my own kids, and I think our relation got stronger through my kids, because for them, it's their grandmother. And I admire her. I think she's an amazing woman that has a lot of, she has a lot of dignity.
So you're driven to give her a better life?
Yes, I didn't want to disappoint her. I wanted that she knows that the sacrifice she did will, I don't think so she put me abroad that she dreaming of her own life. She wanted me to be okay. And I think that's really remarkable.
So how did you then end up becoming an international supermodel?
Well, it's a lot of steps. So I was in Belgium for many years. Then I went to Switzerland. When you say Switzerland, people think private school and all of that, banking and all this luxury life. I was sent to another family member, and it was again very, very, very tough. So I just study, put my energy in study, do a lot of... I did a lot of jobs to pay my study, and a lot of people were stopping me in the street to do modeling, and I say, no way I can do modeling. Modeling is a world of uncertainty. You don't know if you can be successful or not, and I have to study that, and I have to work. My mom did a massive sacrifice. I studied business management, and I started to work for a company, but I always wanted to, I'm very driven in everything that I do. I always wanted to work for a big corporate or to work for the UN internationally. So I said to myself, it's important that I go to London to learn English, and then I can build my career. But more people were stopping me in the street to do modeling, and my friends, they enter me in a competition, Agent Provocateur. So wow, when I think about it now that I'm a mom, 2 kids, my first campaign was lingerie, wow. And my first shoot ever, big shoot, was like, I think, because it was a competition and I was one of the winners. It was a few models that were chosen, but I was the only black girl. And it was like, when you are on the set, it was videographer, it was photographer, makeup artist, hairstylist. This was like 20 people on the set, and you are in lingerie. So it was kind of a big contrast. But you know what? It gave me confidence. And from there, I keep continuing doing my modeling between London and New York.
And it's a really glamorous life. It looks like a very glamorous life. Is it?
I think with the social media, it makes even more feel glamorous. But I'm not the kind of girl that used to go out and all this glamorous life as much. I used to just do my job and go home. So I don't smoke, I don't drink. So my life was like, for me, I have a lot of this, because I came from families that were so strict with me, the discipline is there. And a lot of alcohol problems in my family, so the nightlife is not for me. But the modeling, people see it as glamorous, but it's a hard work. You travel, you have to go early on set, you never know when it's finished, you have to do your work. There's a lot of sacrifice on the way. Sometimes you have to do a job that's not going to pay you so well, but it's good exposure that's going to open you more doors. And when I used to do modeling, they were not using a lot of mixed race or black girls or Asian. So it was a tough times at the beginning of my career. I had to do a lot of jobs beside. I used to go to do homework with kids. So, and New York was tough too. I think I've been lucky in a way because I was always, and I'm super driven, and I have values, and I work very hard.
What's the secret to being a successful model? The really, the very high-profile models you've worked with, have they got something in common, do you think, that made them a success?
I'm not as big supermodel like all these big supermodels. I would say I'm a good working model. There's something that you're seeing on social media and reality. Now there's a different way to advertise yourself. But a lot of models are introverted. A lot of models have a very good personality and extremely smart. You need to be very well organized, and you need to really save your money because you never know what's happening the next day. So your career, you never know how long it will last. there's a new one, so it's about you, your personality, the way you go to work on time and thanking people. There's a lot of challenges on the way.
In the meantime, you developed this foundation. So this is fundamentally a school in Congo, right? So underprivileged kids, you're helping to give them a leg up. How did that start?
So it's come from my story. It's come the story of my mother to really empower women, girls through education, through skills and communities. So Malaika, I set it up 12 years ago. It's just been amazing. From a piece of paper, from a dream to this village model that we're developing. It's not only about a school. We're in a small village in the southern east of the Congo. It's called Kalebuka. We decided to build a school, a leadership school, from learner to leader. The students arrive at 5 years old until 18 years old. It's a holistic curriculum where they have English, where they have math, where they have STEM, where they have art, music, sport, yoga. I wanted to build a school where I could send my own children. I didn't want the stereotype of Africa where you saw only white wall and 50, 60 kids in a classroom. We wanted to create an environment that stimulates the mind of the kids. They can imagine, they can reinvent, they can dream whatever they want to do, not only for their village, but for the community, their country, their continent. And before we started even to build a school, we have to talk with the community, because to build a school for girls, it's something completely unimaginable. Can you imagine 12 years ago? And the chief of the village say, we are a forgotten village. We have nothing in this village. There's no water, there's no electricity, and we need your help. And before we start to build the school, in order to make the breaks, you needed to build a well. And when every day you have 200-300 people queuing to get water from the well, we were like, my God, where are they going to go to get water when we're going to close the school? The school is going to be finished. So it's the reason the WASH program starts. So we built, over 12 years, we built with different partners, 17 wells, 10 impact 30,000 people. We built a school. We started with 104 students, and now we have over 300 students, 314 exactly. And we have amazing students, Frida, Lauriane, Louise. Lauriane wants to be an engineer technology. Louise wants to become a journalist. We have Anatash, she wants to become a doctor. We have Carolina, she wants to be an architect. So we have different students that dream to be whatever they want to do. But I think it's their refuge, it's their home. They arrive at 5 years old until 18. They arrive at school. They have breakfast. They have lunch. They have a team that is dedicated to them. I don't take any salary of Malaika. 85% of the money we're raising go to the program. And because the student, they eat only 2 times or 3 times a week at their home, they sleep on the floor. It was very important to put a nutrition program. They arrive at the school, they have breakfast, they have lunch. And you cannot educate only children without educating the parents. So FIFA was a donor of the school. And they say, Noëlla, we're building 20 community centers in Africa after the World Cup, and we would love to build one community center with Malaika. We absolutely love what you do. And they came to Congo. When you read about Congo, it's so much negativity. But they say, we need to come to see the village. And they came and they fall in love. They fall in love with the student, with the village. And 600 meters of the school, we built this community center where we have 5,000 people a year coming to read, to learn. Mother Annie never hold a pencil in her hand. She never read and never write. And she come to a community center. She knows how to read or to write. We're doing sewing programs for the mothers. We created a brand called Mama ya Mapendo, Mothers We Love. They do beading. They make the uniform of the student. They do bags, and we sell the bags. And then he brings some money to the program of Malaika. And because the food, we're not only feeding the student, we're feeding 40 staff every day. So it's nearly 360 people you're feeding every day. So we decided to grow our own food, and it goes to the canteen. So it really became, over the years, a village model. So you have the school, you have the community center, you have the wells, you have the agriculture. We lobbied every time I was going to Congo. I lobbied heavily to the government to make the road because the road is unbelievable. It was crazy. On the rainy season, it was inaccessible. And they started to make the road. And my next big thing I'm dreaming for the village is to have electricity, because all the school and the community center is on a solar panel.
So when you speak to a young girl from a village and she hasn't got any money and she wants to get out of the village and she wants to make a success of herself, what do you say to that girl? What's the secret to convincing them that they can do it?
But this little girl don't need to dream to go anywhere. She has Malaika School. She can become someone from this school. They are amazing. They are the next leaders of the country.
Noëlla, thank you very much indeed.